Welcome to the CEN show, where you can hear the voice of the community. The Community Education Network.com is a platform to aid the effort of collective and self-improvement. In your spare or investigative time, visit the website to engage in thought-provoking material. We have 3 guests this evening, and the first guest is Ruffin Swain, and then we have Dr. Andre Strong and Dr. Terri Strong, and I'm your host, Rasaki Maskani. The topic for the evening is Lynching, Lynchism. It's time to heal and what we must do. It's a book by Dr. Terri Strong. Normally, I would start with the lady first, but tonight, she's the main attraction, therefore she will be last. I would like to introduce Ruffin Swain, a fellow colleague of mine. Mr. Swain is a math and robotics teacher and a great individual, in my opinion. We have collaborated in many great conversations about life, and I appreciate all he does for our community. Mr. Swain, will you introduce our 2 other guests? Well, Mr. Swain will introduce our 2 other guests. He will tell us more about himself. Mr. Swain, welcome. And how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me on your show. This is a great opportunity to be here. It's my first time here. And this is just a really great show. And thank you for the opportunity to allow me to bring on a couple of guests to talk about the topic today. So as you guys know, my name is Ruffin Swain, and I work together with Rasaki. I'm a math teacher and a robotics teacher, and I'm also a part-time web developer. And I work in the I would say the PR department for the book. I handle some of the online technicalities and marketing for Lynching, Lynchism. I want to introduce to you guys my I just gonna keep it like it. These are my cousins, you know. So hey, you know, I gotta tell you, I can't hide that part. These are my cousins. So I got my cousin, Dr. Andre Strong in the house, PhD in mathematics and physics. And he's an associate professor at Delaware State University. He's also a successful businessman, CEO of a few different Better Days Tax, I think it is, and also he CEO of a trucking company, Better Days Logistics. So he's just a awesome guy, and I know I could go on and on about him. And my other cousin here, his mother, Dr. Terri Strong, and she has let me get this right. Reverend Dr. Terri Strong. Okay, I gotta get that right. And I'm just gonna go a little bit on that. She has a master's in divinity. She's a doctor of ministry. She's a retired veteran of the sheriff's office. And she was a detective in internal affairs. And she is the author of this wonderful book that we are going to talk about today, Lynching, Lynchism. This is just one of many books that she has. And I'm just going to go ahead and pass it back. I'm going to pass it to Dr. Andre Strong and let him talk about it a little bit more.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. First to Rasaki, I want to say, man, it is an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this show, man. You you guys are phenomenal gentlemen. I mean, you spoke too highly of me because I'm just an ordinary person, you know. But my name is Andre Strong. I'm an assistant professor at Delaware State University inside of the Applied Mathematics Department. I am the CEO. Well, not the CEO, but I own a franchise of the Better Days Tax Service, and I am the CEO of a Better Day Logistics. That is my trucking company. Reverend Dr. Terri Strong, she is my mother, and I got the entrepreneurial spirit from her. When I was younger, we had a fish market. We've had a fish market, and she opened a party store. So I mean, this woman is a very strong, black, courageous woman, and I admire her for that. So the book that she recently authored, not only am I her son, but I am her agent. So I am responsible for handling bookings such as book signings, motivational speaking, events, tours, any kind of marketing events, connections that need to be made, you know, any kind of social events that she is invited to. I tend to handle the consultation behind that. So that is my role and affiliation with the book. She's done extensive research, and a lot of the documentaries and books that we've read over the course of time, actually kind of inspired this book. So I believe at this time I'm going to turn it back over to Rasaki.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate you being here, Dr. Andre Strong. Thank you for, telling us a little bit about yourself and your mom. Um, I'm just going to say this. I brother Mashinda that's on here, and he comes quite often, and he told me, you're going to have the author on the show. You need to read the book. He looked up the book. He looked the book up, and he got the book. I ordered it, and as soon as I opened the book, I read about 2 or 3 pages, and I just started shaking my head, pumping my fist, and it was just awesome. The book is definitely a must read. Definitely a must read. So I want to say good evening to you, Dr. Terri Strong. I appreciate you being here to share information about your book with us. And I'm excited, very excited. And can you kind of tell us a little bit more about yourself, please?
I would love to. Good evening to everyone that is on the Zoom. I just appreciate the opportunity. Rasaki Maskani, I appreciate the invitation from you. Ruffin, I appreciate you connecting us. And I just appreciate being able to share with like minds on this topic. A little bit about me. I've been in ministry a long time. I am a pastor. I'm the pastor of St. Paul AME Church in South Fulton, Tennessee. I have published 5 publications: We Wisdom, Inspiration for Life's Journey, Wisdom Personified, Prison to Priesthood, and now the latest book is Lynching, Lynchism. It's time to heal and what we must do. I'm a veteran retired from the sheriff's office here in Memphis. I was an officer, a supervisor, a sergeant, a internal affairs detective. I was an instructor at the training academy. So I did a lot of things going through the sheriff's office career. I have a bachelor's in business administration from Memphis State University. I have a master's of divinity from HBCU, Payne Theological Seminary, and I have a doctor of ministry from Regent University in Virginia Beach, Virginia. So I have a lot that I draw from when I'm writing or when I'm speaking. I have a lot of good history that I can draw from in order to convey messages. And so I hope that's gives you a picture of who I am. I raised two sons, Andre and Cameron, and I was a foster mom for about 3 years. And I'm a child advocate. I am a social justice individual. I mean, I can't say enough about how we should take better care of our children. When I say our, I'm talking about Black children. So that's who I am.
Okay, well, that's excellent. Nice, full resume there. Okay, so we're gonna get started.
Okay.
Your book is inspirational, is very inspirational, and a must read for all the people, and especially Black people. What inspired you to write this book?
My inspiration, I have been writing this book since 1985. And what inspired me to even begin writing it is that was when I first read the Willie Lynch letter. And there were theories about whether it was true or not, or you know, who wrote it and all of that kind of stuff. But I took it seriously because I could see the letter reflected in society. And so I began to think of how could I reverse what he did, what he said, because his psychological attack, which is what the letter was and still is, that psychological attack needed to be reversed. And so the first thing that I did was I sat down and began to dissect the letter and say, well, this is what he said. Okay, well, this is what we should say. You know, because I don't care what nobody says. When you say something, when words go out, they have an impact. And wherever they land is important. It can have a positive effect on some people and a negative effect on some people. And so this letter, you could see the effects of it in society. You know, you could see us warring against each other, light skin against the dark skin, old against the young. You could see those things. And so the book just came together over time. I would put it down and then pick it back up, you know, and write a little bit. And I actually wrote, I've been writing this book longer than any book. And I published it, the 5th book. So that tells you how I've picked it up and put it down, because a lot of times I would be writing it and I would get angry. Simply because you can't put the responsibility of healing only on white people and expect to get it done. Those are the ones that will stitch you up and rip the stitches out. You know, it's been done spiritually over time. So we've got to take the responsibility. I felt that we should take the responsibility, not that everything is our fault, but because we are the ones that will benefit from the healing most of all. So that was my inspiration.
Excellent. Okay. Now in the book you had Black on Black movement. Can you explain Black on Black movement, please?
Absolutely. When Willie Lynch wrote his letter, he went from plantation to plantation, indoctrinating the slave owners on his principles. He didn't just write the letter and distribute it, you know, and send it by Pony Express or whatever was out at that time. He didn't do that. He took his time and he went to teach those principles, plantation to plantation, to make sure that everyone knew those principles, from the oldest white person to the youngest white person, because he said that anybody could use those principles, even the youngest child. And so he made sure that everybody knew those principles. And to me, that was a movement. That was an indoctrinating movement of that psychological warfare. And so by the same token, we can't just put the book out and say, you know, haphazardly, whoever reads it, oh, well, that's a good thing. No, we've got to make sure that these principles are taught in every household. If we have to bring households together, that's the localized level we've got to get to in order to get this message of Black unity and Black love together. In order to get that message out, we can't just sit back and say, read the book, but we've got to teach the principles that reverse this curse.
That's right. I agree. Okay, on page 15, you have a series of shame on us phrases. And I thought that the message you were conveying was powerful. Please tell us about this strategy.
This strategy, I didn't mean to hurt feelings, but I meant to be real. Whenever I say something, it's out of love for us. It's has the best interest at heart, and it is to heal and not to hurt. And so when I say shame on us, there's a phrase that says, when you have 100% of a situation, you have 10% is allocated to what happens to you, and 90% is allocated to how you respond to it. Am I right? If that's true, then we have to look at the Black-white situation in like manner. It's 10% of how what they do. But we've got 90% of how we respond to that foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? Shame on us for not taking some responsibility for each other. Shame on us for not pulling, as they say, Ray aside and say, hey man, you Black, you can't do that. Shame on us for not pulling Quisha and saying, no ma'am, you cannot sell your body. You are Black, you are better than that. You know, it's a matter of being accountable to one another and being accountable to ourselves, helping each other. You can't say, well, you know, if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. No, we are a village. We are responsible to be a village. In the 60s, prior to the 70s, I would say, 8% of our babies were born out of wedlock. Now there has been high as 84% of babies born out of wedlock. Right now it's about 72%. We were family oriented back then, but we have gotten away from that. We have allowed the system to tell a younger sister, it's okay for you to be a family with your child. We're going to give you a check, $142. We're going to give you a place to stay. And all of that replaces that man, that husband in the house. Shame on us for even allowing that. That's where the shame comes in. Shame on us for not being the Negroes that we used to be, because when we were called Negroes, we had much better values, much better values. And we have allowed this white system to dumb us down and get us off of what we know we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be accountable to one another. That's the shame that I'm talking about. We need to get back to being accountable to one another, where we can trust each other, be trustworthy, and just simply be in relationship and community with one another again. During segregation, the doctor stayed next door to the kitchen worker, the maid, you know? But all of a sudden, when integration began, all of a sudden now it's not so pleasant to stay next door. I have options now. And those options have destroyed our community, our Black community. Yeah. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, that was powerful to me when I read about. It was at least 5 of them. Shame on us. And
bro, it might have been more than that.
That was a head shaker right there. So yeah, excellent. Okay, now, can you explain psychological selves and physiological differences?
In the Willie Lynch letter, that is the psychological game he played on the slaves. He said, you're going to have to pit the old against the young, the light skin against the dark, the house person against the field person. In other words, create some kind of differences that you can use against them, that you can use to cause division. And when you cause that division, make sure it's well defined. Make sure you reinforce it, but always make sure that they can depend on you. I'm gonna tell you right today, you can trust white people to do what they say they're gonna do. You know why? Because they were taught that. Make sure Black people don't trust each other, but make sure they can trust you. That was in his letter. The individual I highlight, I can lift up the most was our sheriff. We had a Sheriff Luttrell. I worked closely with him for about 8 years. He was our sheriff. And if he told you something, you could take it to the bank. He was gonna do what he said he was gonna do, whether it was positive, negative, or indifferent. If he said he was gonna be there at a certain time, he was gonna be early. If he said he was going to, whatever he said he was going to do, you could count on his word. We need to look over the fence and say, why did they do that? It was to psychologically, some people call it rape. In other words, and what it is, they robbed you of your mind. Make sure you can't trust them. That's where those psychological differences came from. And I think that was about on page, let's see, page 27. The physical difference and envy. The physical differences, when you highlight them and you tell one that they're better than the other, then that creates a false sense of superior and inferior. When all the time, all of you all are inferior and the white is superior. That's what that created. So that's what we still are battling that today. Still today, we're battling that.
Yes, I agree. Now, I want people to purchase this book. So I just want to have a few questions for you. And that's the extent of the questions I'm gonna ask you, but I know that it's people on here that have some questions, and then they may have a few comments. So we're gonna go straight to that. Okay, now, most of the people on here I know, and then also it's a few people that called in. Now we have a feature on here where you can raise your hand, but since it's not that many people here, so I'm gonna go ahead and go around the panel. So I'm gonna start with I know I have one of my other colleagues here, and he has to leave, so I'm gonna start with him.
Okay.
Brother Higg, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
Hello, Ms. Strong, as well. I like hearing what you were saying.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Pleasure to meet you as well.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
So did you have any questions for before? I know you have to leave in a little while. Do you have any questions for?
No, I'm here till about 7. So, no, I enjoy what she was talking about with the idea of unity, and a lot of times I've said the same thing, that like before a lot of these movements, especially the civil rights movement, that we were all together as a community, and what was so job or the amount of money wasn't an indicator of like who was living next to you. And then you also had the ability, because of your relationships with people who may not have been doing as well as you, or who may have had vices that was hurting them, to talk to those individuals in your community. So I agree totally with that 100%. Ms. Strong, how do you think that we as a community, since now we are more spread out, throughout all of California, like right now, you're even in a different state, how do we as a whole community come together, since now a lot of us are of different viewpoints and mindsets?
I'm glad you asked that, because the differences that we've had are what were used to divide us. So we have to find a common denominator that we can use to unite us. In this book, it says our Blackness. If you got one drop, if you got one drop, we consider you Black. And this book, it is not a novel. This is a roadmap, a resource on how to do everything that we need to do to get back to a Black community. It has reversing the principles. It has some statistics. It has community organizing. It has even some commitment statements that we need to do. It creates a movement, is what the book does. And every Black person, I'm not just saying this to sell a book, but I believe every Black person needs this next to their Bible, because this is how we become truly free. This is how we gain true freedom once and for all. They have used 4 different types of slavery. They used slavery itself, Jim Crow, Black codes, mass incarceration. Every time you figured out, it took you 10 to 15 years to figure out what they were doing. When you figured it out and they knew you figured it out, they began right there planning something else. A new trap, a new, more modern trap for you to fall for. That's how it has lasted so long. Right now, we have peeped there that the mass incarceration thing. So now that you hear about incarceration reform. So now what you have to say in your mind is, what is it that they are planning now? What new mousetrap do they have for us to get caught in? You see, so you have to stop and think. In order to protect yourself from that trap, you have to gravitate towards one another. Segregation is what had you united. J. Edgar Hoover, he was the federal person over law enforcement, for lack of a better. He said the greatest threat to America, and when he was talking about America, he was talking about white America. He said the greatest threat to America is Black unity. Now, if he felt that strongly about Black unity, how much more should we be striving for it? I don't care how far apart we are. We got, back in the 60s, they didn't have email. They used chicken dinners to raise money. You know, we have everything at our access, at our disposal. So now it's time for us to use those resources wisely to unite us.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, yes.
I appreciate that question, brother Higg. Okay, so I have a caller on here that's from 209. Caller 209, can you unmute yourself and identify yourself, please? If you don't mind. Okay,
know how to unmute herself. There's probably got to press something like star something to unmute her.
Star what? Can you say it?
Figure out what it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Caller 209. Do you have a question? Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes. My name is Anita.
Okay. How you doing, Anita? Thanks for coming out. Do you have a question for Dr. Terri Strong?
No, I just want to say that I really enjoyed what you were saying. It is true that I'm sorry I'm doing it.
I guess the background, the dogs don't like what's going on. Okay, well, I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, Anita.
You're welcome.
Okay, caller 323-723-6234.
Hello, this is Queen EMC.
Hey, Sister Queen, how you doing?
I'm blessed. How are you?
Okay.
Wow, I think this is awesome. I have always wondered what would take place in regards to moving forward to break that curse. I'm going to go purchase the book, and pretty much you answered my questions when the other gentleman had asked. So once again, congratulations on your book, and I will be purchasing it.
Thank you so much. And make sure you tell all of the people around you in your circle, and you all start chat sessions about this book and see how you can apply it to take your personal commitment as well as your commitment to change your community, your sphere of influence, whether it's 2 people or 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sister Queen. Okay. Sister Cherie, do you have a question for Dr. Terri Strong?
Yeah, I guess so. I was wondering, since you mentioned the Bible, I know I used to personally, follow it kind of religiously, because also I like the book, but my grandfather, he was super overly religious. And at some point in time, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago, I started seeing things in the Bible that kind of represented oppression and modern day, like a slavery mentality. And I was wondering, did you feel the same?
About the Bible?
Yeah, about it being like used to kind of oppress certain people, certain classes of people, or certain races or groups of people.
That should tell you that the Bible is authentic, because it gave you examples of what has happened in the past and what can happen when we don't follow. You see what I'm saying?
I understand.
It's not that the oppression is purposed, but it is a tool to use to keep us in line. In other words, I am a believer. I was called to ministry at 7 years old. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And nobody introduced me to God. He introduced himself to me. And he called me to intercessory prayer. And he would bring people before me, and he would tell me to pray for these individuals. And it always amazes me even now, because I said, how could he use a 7-year-old, you know? And how did I know how to pray for these people? How did I know this, you know? And so there's never been a time when I didn't believe in God for myself. And so he introduced me. So if you have doubts about the word, ask him to introduce you to himself. Nobody can speak better for him than he can. Nobody. The preacher can't speak better for him than he can for himself. So I would encourage you to ask him to introduce you to himself.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, Brother Doctor.
No, I agree with everything she said. You know,
thank you, Brother Doctor.
Talk about, you know, like I said, Rasaki, we talk about the same thing. I think one of our problems is we have too many options that are
yes.
really minimum options. You know, we have all these options we can do, but it's not really going to get us anywhere.
Exactly.
You have to limit it. And just like she said, like they did Tiger Woods, he came out and was just whooping everybody, and they all of a sudden changed all the rules,
exactly.
You know, on the game. And my question is, you know what's going on. You just stated what the problem was, what we need to do. And Rasaki would probably tell you, I'm kind of like the antagonist here on their show. It's not going to work. You know, you're preaching something as well I believe in. We're from the same era. We got something like similar background. It's not going to work because they're always going to change the game. They're always going to offer those in our group something go against us. So my question is, I mean, what do you do?
I'm glad you said that.
For something else better, you know, like you said, like Pookie and Ray Ray. I don't know back on the East Coast, but you know, you try to tell Pookie and Ray Ray something, Pookie and Ray Ray will shoot you out here. You try to tell them to act right, you know. So it's tough. It's tough.
Pookie and Ray Ray are going to be the bandwagon people. You have certain people. You have a nucleus of people, then you have a wider circle, and then you have bandwagoners. That nucleus, it doesn't take but a few people to change things. Let me tell you something. And this is going to sound radical and crazy, but I'm a radical and crazy person, okay? That's just me. It would be so amazing if we had some Black only signs. That would throw, I mean, that would blow people's minds. If you remember, we had the Black only sign and the white only sign on the water fountain and on this and on that.
Uh-huh.
I tell you what, if we came so close together that white people would wonder where we went. What happened? They were just in the streets talking about do for us. Now we can't find them. Where are they? Because in this battle, sometimes you have to retreat, regroup, and then come as a united front. You see what I'm saying? Don't expect everybody to jump on the wagon at the same time. If they see, I was just so in love when I saw the Black militia, when I saw those brothers and sisters, it was like, yes, that's one of our components. You know, ooh, man, you got so many components. If you just bring those components together like this, that's what this book does. It brings every aspect, everything together. A community has to have people, it has to have groceries, it has to have a bank, it has to have a school, it has to have enforcement. Those 5 things you've got to have. We could have that in our communities. You've got to stop saying that you have a dry desert neighborhood. You grew every piece of food in slavery and cooked it. What happened? Can we not grow food and cook it again? Oh my God. I'm trying to free us. We should not depend on others to feed us. We should feed one another. We should know how to grow gardens. It's a brother in LA. He's called the Gangster Gardener. I can't think of it. I think his name is Finley. Oh, I love that brother. That's where we've got to get to. Do white people owe us reparations? Yes, they do. And I don't want people to stop working on reparations. But guess what? In the interim time, there are other things we need to be doing and can do to make it all happen. To say if they don't ever give it to us, we know how to make it ourselves. We've got to be self-sufficient. Does that answer your question, Brother Doctor?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I don't want you to lose hope.
Oh no. I agree with everything you said. I see the vision. I see the solution. The solution is the same. But like I said, working with our people, like myself for, 28, 29, 30 plus years, seeing the best of the best and worst of the worst, and how the dominant society does us and change the rules.
This book changes your focus.
Yeah, you have to, like I told him the other day, you got to take care of you and yours right now. Make sure your family know what's right, what to do, how to do it. And hopefully someone else will see you and want to come and ask you, hey, how you do that? And you can then teach them. But
you know what? Let me say this right here. Do you know anything about the Sunday school lesson?
No.
Okay, there's something called a Sunday school lesson where it is unified. Every church has the same Sunday school lesson every Sunday, and it comes out quarterly, okay? And every church is usually on the same page. Guess what? This is our Black Sunday School book. This brings everybody on the same page.
All right. Well, listen, let's move on. We got some other people that I know they have some questions and comments. Okay, Brother Mashenda, unmute, please.
Can you guys pronounce the title of the book?
Yes.
Lynching, Lynchism. It's time to heal and what we must do.
Okay, Brother Mashenda.
Greetings, Dr. Strong.
Greetings to you, dear.
Yeah, thank you for sharing tonight. I have a question and maybe a couple of comments, but the one question is, are you virtual on Zoom at your church on Sundays?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna need to get that information.
Okay.
I'm familiar with, churches. I didn't just fall off the truck, And but what I'm hearing from you, it's not only deep, but not only you've done your research, and I'm in agreement with a lot of the facts and quotes that you're bringing out tonight. I really appreciate that. And coming from the religious sector, because, it comes a time where I know in the Black community, we have people who are very religious, Christians and so forth. And then there are folks that are not too religious. They believe in God and that type of thing. A lot of us, you heard me say us, we're still learning, and we're still searching. We're not here to be blasphemous and tear down anything, but the truth that you're bringing tonight, I just appreciate, talking about, Willie Lynch letter. And you made a point about, hey, whether it's factual or not, whether that's factual or not, if it's not factual, well, you know what? If it wasn't a Willie Lynch letter put in place, there's something in place that coincides, that is very congruent to the Willie Lynch letters, as you say, because society and history has proven that, the way, and one thing I appreciate is, and I tell you, I was listening to Eddie Glaude today on C-SPAN, and he was talking about, I do have your book, by the way, and I've been doing some travel. I got it on Saturday, and I've been busy, and I started reading it, just like Brother Rasaki. I encouraged him to get it, to be prepared for the show, just to kind of an idea.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. And but I tell you what, Eddie Glaude was talking about, he's got a book called Begin Again, or something, and it was based on something James Baldwin was talking about. And basically it was more or less talking, I think on C-SPAN, they had a clip of Baldwin talking about, I don't want to be white, like you trying to force me to be, in other words, forcing your culture on me, forcing everything on me. I'm not trying to go that. In other words, and then Eddie Glaude was kind of, and they had callers calling in, just like on this show, they had people calling in and talking or what have you. And they was calling in saying that, one guy said, hey, I got all kind of colored friends, and I don't appreciate you coming on C-SPAN, trying to, talk about hate and all this kind of stuff. And, was really putting the guy down. And he was basically saying to the caller, he was saying, first of all, we're not colored, and then he's kind of set him straight. But the whole point of it was, he was saying that white people have a problem with, recognizing like what they've done, what their fault. And when I was reading, reading your work,
they know first. They the ones that planned it, perpetrated it.
Right. So we have the young guys in the community that's gang banging, sagging their pants. I got a, education and criminal justice background, work with gangs and all kind of things, grew up in the inner city. I understand the plight of the people that we're talking about, our people, and, to the best of my ability, and I'm still learning. There's scholars that's on the call that have spoke before, and I respect them and listen to, like I said, still learning. But the thing is, basically what the guy was saying, that, instead of turning the light on us, they need to turn the light on themselves, because they created a wicked system that we grew up in. But at the same time, I'm like this. Once you become informed, we got to eliminate some excuses and some different things. Because
that's it, brother.
Yeah. So because we was mesmerized by, you know, what they were, you know, feeding us in this inferior K through 12 system that they present to us. But then we have say a sister like you that done did your homework, and it's like, hey, you know, yes, you know, and again, you say, you know, it's kind of like how I taught in class. Yeah, I was teaching some information technology, but at the same time, I was talking about some other truths, you know, to some of the people that I knew that I might can reach in terms of like, hey, while I have this audience, I'm gonna share some other things, you know. Right. And so again, yeah, you can, you know, quote scripture that you feel that that's related to what you're talking about and feel strongly about. And you're not to be disrespected, you know, for your faith and that type of thing. But I see that you're applying your faith to something that's tangible, that's real life, real time, that's historical. Absolutely. And you know, so you don't hear too many pastors you know, go on this depth. I mean, I've heard pastors want to react to when there's a shooting in the community, we're going to go and stand and show unity in the community, let them know we care. And then we stand out there a couple of days or 2 weeks, and then, you know, it plays out. But when you're writing books and you putting it, you know, you putting it out there, but I get it, you know, at first, you know, like I say, I was just checking it out, but I get it. I was reading one of your poems, and he was talking about they think the night, you know. I was like, that's pretty deep right there, you know. And
yeah, they're doing a good job.
And I hope that before you get off tonight, I hope that you recite that. I don't want to recite it because that's your poem, but I read that about 20 times just to, because I do things like that just to internalize. And but what you're saying is, because, you know, I'm over here, I'm from, you know, the West Coast, but I'm living in the South. So I've been down in the South probably, 20 some years now.
Okay,
so
well, you know exactly what that poem means.
So left Compton, like you say, from Compton to the cotton fields, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, all right. And so, and don't mean no disrespect by that, you know. The thing about it is, you know, I have roots down here, but to be able to dissect and see, you know, down here, the effect of some of the things that you're talking about from a criminal justice standpoint, they incarcerate more people in the South than anywhere in the United States, probably.
Anywhere.
You know, it's unbelievable. And, you know, working in the system and seeing the preferential treatment, you know, where you have a 14-year-old child, you know, going to a lockdown camp where the black child that's 14 years old is going to a lockdown camp where the 14-year-old white child is going to a group home, you know, or going to a 24-hour school with counseling, you know, that type of thing.
Let me give you some statistics on that right there.
Yes.
Between 2007 and 2011, there were 887 children bound over as adults to adult court to our system. Okay, wow. 5-year period.
Believe it.
887.
Wow.
There were 856 Black and 31 white.
Wow. See, and so that confirmation there, you know,
that's
and
confirmation.
Like yes, that's right. And you know, I know you didn't just bring it out of thin air. And the thing about it is, it's well documented, and that's what you're saying.
That's what my dissertation is on.
Yeah. So what I see, you know, just like I'm like Brother Rasaki, I'm in the infancy of the reading, because it's, you know, it's a good read. And you know, like I say, but I'm down the road with it. I've been, like I said, I got to your poem. But the point is for you to be in the capacity, Reverend Terri Strong, and in the pulpit at a church, and you coming with this kind of science, you know, I applaud you with that, because of the fact that what it tells me is that you're dealing with real life. You're dealing with real life issues. Absolutely. Not, you know, and again, not being blasphemous and saying those who do how they do it, but we're honoring you tonight that, you know, hey, you know what? It's kind of like, you know, you sticking your neck out, you know, you're talking about, COINTELPRO, J. Edgar Hoover, FBI agent. Let's infiltrate. I was back to Eddie Glaude. The only reason why I brought Eddie Glaude, this ain't C-SPAN. This is not about him. It's about you. But the reason why I brought it up, because he made a comment today. It was just today, and I knew this. You were going to be on the podcast tonight, but he said every time there's a renewal process or a new thing, a new
renaissance.
A new birth going on in America, where it's like, okay, whether it's the Black Panther movement or something, there's some change that's going down. The baby gets strangled by the umbilical cord of the racist folks, or they use the analogy or the metaphor of the baby, the movement is strangled by the umbilical cord. Like the baby comes out and then it doesn't get off the ground because there's infiltration. I'm
gonna tell you this. We're gonna call this Project Andre.
Project Andre.
The reason why I want to call it Project Andre is because when I was in labor with Andre, I was in labor 22 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
And the cord was wrapped around his neck, and every time I had a contraction, it would make his heart rate go down, and I almost lost him.
Wow.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
But you see him sitting right here today.
Yes.
Dr. Andre Strong.
I have a similar experience with my last child. And
so it's possible. Even if the cord is around his neck, they can survive.
That's right. That's correct. She's doing well, very well.
Outstanding.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks, Brother Machinda. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Brother Machinda.
Thank you, Dr. Strong.
We're going to move to our grand elder, Professor Amin Ra extraordinaire.
Again, Bonnie Guys, appreciate your presentation and you and your son, him as your agent, and y'all working together. And
yes, sir.
I'm quite sure Tennessee benefit a lot from your ministry and your work down there. We deeply appreciate
trying hard.
Yeah. There's a lot of questions I have as a person that probably have a lot of personal experience, as well as being a professor for 34 years. I've read a lot of literature.
Right.
There's been a lot of books on lynching. And then when you opened up, you said about Willie Lynch, there were some people that said that the letter wasn't possibly correct or didn't exist. That the name Willie Lynch, that there was no such thing as a Willie Lynch.
Right. The authenticity was questioned.
Yeah.
Not by me, but by others.
Okay. Did you sort of substantiate that there was a Willie Lynch person that went to plantation, or?
From my research, there was.
Okay, because there's a lot of research that there wasn't, but let's go ahead. The other thing is that, there's a lot of work by other individuals to do a lot of the things that you're doing. The majority of, as you know, African American people live in the South. But throughout our history, there has been attempts to educate and organize. It may be the African Episcopal Methodist Church, by the first church in America.
That's the church I'm a minister in.
Okay, yeah, and then there may be the Garvey movement, may be the Back to Africa movement by Blyden. There are people doing things now. Stacey Abrams in Georgia organizing. There was the role that Black people played in electing Obama, as well as electing Biden and turning the Democratic Party over. There are efforts of Black people to, encourage marriage and taking care of family institutions and rebuilding the family. There are a lot of efforts. Do you know, and there are a lot of groups that are building on some of the things that you saying that we need to do, building Black United Fronts. As a matter of fact, there's a National Black United Front in Bo. Then at the same time, there's Action Network with Sharpton, and there's of course the grand old organization NAACP is still around, that addresses a lot of these issues at their conferences and at their thing. My point is that there's a lot there's a lot of pathology that we can talk about that African people go through, but there's also a lot of positive things. We still have a lot of Black people that go to college, even at the HBCs, which you say you're a graduate of. So there are some. Your son's a good example. Your two sons. There are positive Black people, and so my stress is to you. Do you have models of excellence and models of positivity? I know the crisis require for you to point out the crisis for the need for change, but at the same time, do we recognize progress? As you say, as I conclude, that Black people migrated out of their communities either through gentrification or opportunities, and the middle class leaving, doctors and lawyers are moving into integrated communities, and even some of our top Black leaders did it. You know, I mean, you know, I don't think Sharpton live in Harlem. I don't think Farrakhan live on the south side of Chicago. I don't think that Jesse Jackson lives in the community. My point is that you have the contradictions, but I'm just saying that the abandonment of that is a lot to deal with, as you have pointed out, probably with COINTELPRO and the incentives for Black people to go away. But there are still Black people getting married, and there are positive fathers.
True, that's true.
And there are groups that try to reunite fathers who weren't doing what they're supposed to do, and now they're grown and mature and want to be a better father. All of those type of things. I mean, well, my point is that coming out in the 60s, we were centralized around two issues, civil rights and Black power. The liberation movement had two tendencies. All right, now, there's so many movements now, it looks like we're not moving, but after the Floyd killing and after the Breonna Taylor and after all these, the Aryans and all of that, there are different movements. There's the HIV movement for Black people with Tony Wafer and I Choose Life. There's it is so many issues we have that is different from when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was here, that it looked like, and then the media don't focus on our progress and or centralize it. So I just want you to respond to that.
I'm glad you said that last word, centralize it, because this is my perspective. You just talked about a lot of different factions, a lot of different pieces of a puzzle. And what we have to do is we have to have in these United States something similar to the United Nations. You need a Black United Nations of the United States. In other words, you have the head of this organization, the Action Network, this organization, every organization come together at the table. And you put the pieces of the puzzle together under one umbrella. It doesn't have to solve every problem. You find the general problems and you put together an initiative for it, and then you hand it down to the state level, to the regional level, to the local level, to the family level. You see? You got a lot of organizations. Everybody's doing something. And like you said, we're still not getting anywhere. And it's because we have not united those pieces of the puzzle who are doing stuff. We've got to unite them, all of them. If it takes bringing 100 or 1,000 people to the table, to the conference, to the United Nations, the Black United State of America. If it takes that, then that's what we do. We've got to get out of the box and create something new, because we've been doing the same thing over and over for 465 years. That is the recipe, that's what they call insanity. We've got to do something different. So if we could, Brother Mascani, am I making the point of uniting the heads?
I understand you're saying you want an overarching leadership structure,
yes, sir,
for all the movements to come within.
Yes,
and
sir.
You have to build it, and it takes time. It's a long, protracted struggle, because
these scholars right here in this Zoom meeting, these are the scholars that can make that happen.
Well, it takes money, it takes money, and it takes a lot of challenges, because the system, as you pointed out, there are people doing it. We have what is called BCCLA, Black Clergy Labor and Community Organization out here, is the Black United Front.
Okay, and you'll be at the table.
They got them all at and they meet every Wednesday for the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. And they have a luncheon every month for the general community to come. And you have leaders from labor, leaders from every aspect of the community. My point to you is that there is I think that people should read your book, and I think that people should do that. But I don't want you to get there. I want you to know that there are people doing what you are suggesting to do.
Absolutely, I know there are.
And that there are some positive young people.
Oh yeah.
There are some positive communities in the South and in urban areas.
Absolutely.
People are doing some positive things. That's
yeah. The AME church that I'm a part of, 2.5 million people globally. It's a beautiful organization. Mm-hmm. It can be the springboard. It can be the one that brings things together. You know, you use the resources that you have. We got more resources than we realize. We really, really do. There's only, number one, the media loves a negative story. The stories that should be in there, like your community story, what you all are doing to uplift and better the community, don't hit the media. Because you got 6 people owning the media and they control the narrative.
I would really love to chime in.
Yes, I wanted to get in. I wanted to chime in also.
Go ahead.
So go ahead, Brother Andre. And then I want, matter of fact, after you, Brother Andre, Brother Muko's on, and he said he definitely wanted to meet and speak with Dr.
Okay.
Terri. Go ahead, Brother Andre.
This is just a thought. This is just a question. There are, as Professor Amar Ra stated, there are, some positive things out there, positive groups and things of that nature. But my question is, what type of effect do these groups have on Black America today? You know, are they marginalized?
Mm-hmm.
Is it all a show, or do they have genuine interest in Black people? Is it a face, or is it genuinely Black? See, we have a lot of groups out there that are just, you know, they may have a Black face, but it's just to, what am I trying to say?
Showcase.
Showcase, right. We don't have time for showcasing. We don't have time for showcasing anymore. We need some genuine Black movement.
Yeah.
She stated that over 800 Blacks were bounded over in a 3 to 4 year span. There should have been 5 year span. There should have been some type of advocacy program,
safety net,
that put in place for those children.
And do you know, Dr. Strong?
There have been, bro. They got groups out there arguing that they got groups.
I was that voice.
Incarceration right now.
I was the voice.
Matter of fact, they have gotten a lot of people out of jail off of Trump up charges and things of this nature.
Well, you know what? If you want to impress me, get every non-violent felon out of jail. That would impress me.
But I just want to
because there's only one crime, and that's a crime against a person. That's what people don't realize. Any other crime is a made-up crime.
Yeah, but that's their money, courts and stuff. But listen, that's attorneys' money too. They in that crime, they wouldn't. But what he was asking is there people legitimate, and is there people sincere and things of this nature? Of course, there are. Everybody have just what happened in the Capitol with white folks attacking white folks. The biggest war, Civil War, World War I war. White folks fighting white folks. Native Americans have collaborators and people that sell out and don't do the right thing. All groups have that, not just Black people.
True.
But we do have positive people.
Yes, we do.
That are committed, like your mother. You understand? She's not showcasing. She put it in paper, and there are other mothers like her. I'm just saying that it's like somebody said, let's talk to Pookie and Wookie. No, let's talk to the brother that's coming out of Morehouse. Let's talk to the brother that's coming out of Delaware and wherever you're going to school. Let's talk to you, those that are willing to do the right thing.
Correct.
I'm for helping Pookie and Snooki if they're ready to change, but I'm not. I mean, you know,
you have to have the right influence to make them want to change.
Well, the precious we work with kids, as Machinda say, he worked with kids. He know that some of them have mental issues. You know, I'm not saying don't work with them and get them mental help, but we gotta work with the sane and work with the ones with purpose, because we'll spend more time trying to help the sick and that, you know, are the problem and not coming up with the solutions by building a hospital where Mookie can go to get help.
Let me say this right here. White America built a system, a system to oppress you in 1,000 different ways, okay? And anytime you tell somebody they're superior, there has to be another person that's inferior. And every time that superior person is challenged, you're gonna bump into their superiority. So my definition of equality is Blacks need to create their own system of superiority to equal their superiority. That's equality. That's equality.
But we excelled in a lot of places.
Yeah, but we've got to accentuate those positives. We got to build. That's our foundation. Now we got to build the house. Yes, brother.
Okay, so
let
me. I want to get some other people in. This is very, very positive, and I love it. Okay, so brother Muko, welcome. Brother Muko.
How you doing, brother? Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome,
How
sir.
Hello to the guests. I'm very honored to be here, even to get to ask questions. But
it's a pleasure to meet you, brother.
I am on the move, but I do want to ask this one question, because words are so very important. Mm-hmm. I hear a lot. I've heard a couple times from the little time that I've been on the system, and the people refer to the system as they, or us equaling to some type of superiority. But have what I don't hear, or what I haven't heard in the short time that I've been here, is anybody directly saying what that system is. Do you feel like first of all, do you feel like black or AKA non-white people must know what racism, AKA the system of white supremacy, is?
And they know what it is. They created it.
No, when I say they, listen to what I'm saying. All non-white people.
All non-white people. Okay.
Right. Should we know what the system of racism, white supremacy is? Should we all have a one codified understanding of what that is?
Yes, we should. In a short answer. And the reason we should is because you can't fight an enemy you don't know. You had an enemy called coronavirus that you were fighting all over the world. You had to name it. You had to get an understanding of it in order to fight it. Am I correct?
That's bad.
So by the same token, you have to know what real racism is. A lot of times, and I'm just being honest, when we play the race card, it's not racism, it's ignorance. A lot of times, real racism is that what happened at the Capitol. That's supremacy. That is hatred. A lot of times people do stuff out of ignorance. and it's because they've been taught to be racist. You have to be taught that. Children that grow up together, they don't know anything about racism unless they're taught it. So yes, we should have a unified, and when you say non-white, I hesitate to embrace that because so many people have jumped on our civil rights bandwagon. You've got Hispanics, you've got white women, you've got LGBTQ. All of those have jumped on the civil rights bandwagon and left us high and dry. Kamala Harris on the campaign trail said that we will not do anything specific for Black people. We won't do that. One of the first things they did when they took office was did something specific for LGBTQ people. Are you getting my point?
I'm definitely listening.
Okay, so I'm leery about the non-white. I fight for Black people. Black people are on the bottom trying to be the foundation for everybody else, and our foundation is weak. We have made some great strides in this country. I don't discount that. We have made some great strides, but injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You have so many places, and this is one place that you'll never even think about, where systemic racism is at work. I called this finance company, I think it was Quicken Loans, and I asked them, I want to refinance my home for a lower mortgage rate. And apparently she heard a Black woman on the phone, and she told me, well, you all have had too many foreclosures in your neighborhood. Well, she don't know the neighborhood I live in. She don't even know the neighborhood I live in. All of these people are retired. They own their homes. They don't even have a mortgage. So you see what I'm saying? All she heard was a Black woman's voice. And automatically, she knew as a white woman not to afford me that opportunity.
Well, I definitely agree that is an act of racism if
Exactly.
It was a white woman. And I say non-white and white because to keep down confusion, because see, white supremacy words are very important, and I feel that is part of our repair that needs to be repaired with, not with us, as Black people. So the one thing that I found valuable in my code of conduct when dealing with people that look like myself is to keep the levels of confusion down to a minimum, down to none. Okay. And
Please.
So my use of the word non-white is not so much as used as a superiority level, but is used as a tool to keep us not confused. So in my mind, it's only 3 races of people on this earth or in the universe.
Black,
just because
white,
the system
Asian.
of listen, just because this system of racism, white supremacy exists, is you have white people, then you have white supremacists, which is white people that practice racism, white supremacy, and then you have non-white people. Okay, that matches me, because I cannot be racist. I cannot practice racism, white supremacy, because first of all, I'm not white. Okay, that's the first rule that we tend to forget. The second thing about that is I don't own any resources. Okay, I don't own any resources. Brother Muko does not own any resources to make anyone, to inconvenience anyone. Okay, or any other group. Okay, and it's a group-based thing.
It's a group-based,
so
yeah.
if we keep the confusion down, I feel, and this is just logic, I feel if we keep the confusion down amongst people that looks like us, and it'll make our interaction better. Now, this is just a suggestion, and I've tried this with myself, and it tends to work for me. So I figure if I solve my problems, then that will help solve the problems of others as well. Because I'm solving all the problems that I can with myself. That's what it's about, being individual. So I definitely, when I read the portions that I've read of your book, because I just got it, I actually just got little portions of your book. I actually ordered it today, but I haven't received it yet. And I'm so excited to get it, because I think in the little portions I've read nothing about a lynching, not one physical lynching so far. But I'm so intrigued by this. Like, hold up. I have a book about lynchings. It's called Without Sanctuary, and it's about a book. It's about the lynching postcards, and it's lynchings all through this book. But
look, this is a psychological lynching right
there
here.
you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that I'm going to enjoy it. So I'm going to let you get back to it. But I just wanted to clear, I think that this is a perfect platform for us to lessen the confusion amongst each other so that it'll be no arguing. And
absolutely.
I love what the brother said, Brother Andre said before about the showcasing. We allow these white supremacists and white people and other non-white people, who might consider themselves or being considered by white people as white. We let them confuse us. Yes. And then we start making a bunch of statements and then we're arguing. And then, nothing's getting done. So,
absolutely. You are
I love this platform. I love Brother Rashaki for even bringing this platform up, and I'm gonna just let you finish, but I am definitely on board with this codified way of thinking.
I appreciate you. I truly appreciate you, and you are so right. People can tend to sow discord purposely. People can sow discord on purpose just to confuse things. And so we have to be patient, use our patience wisely with the process of this movement. We have to use it wisely. We can't let anything irritate us. And when we see the ugly head of confusion reared, we have to come against it with love and patience. And sometimes you can't embrace that person that's sowing that discord. You might have to say, you know what, this might not be the setting for you.
Okay, so listen, I want to say this. I met Brother Muko through the Neely Fuller show that comes on. He has ProduceJustice.com, and he has a show, Counter Racist Code Show, and it's wonderful. And Brother Muko comes right out of that camp of Neely Fuller Jr. And I encourage everybody to listen to Neely Fuller because he's straight, logical, and makes a lot of great points. And yes, this platform is strictly family, and not a confusing, getting into confusing family, but we're going to keep it going. I've noticed that we had another person join on, Cameron Hayward. Cameron Hayward. Can you unmute, please? I know you came on.
Yeah, how you doing?
All right, good evening. Good evening. You do you have any a question for Dr. Terri Strong this evening?
I do not. I'm just introducing myself. I'm Cameron Hayward. I'm actually Terri Strong's youngest son.
Oh, okay. Okay, another family member. Excellent, excellent. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Thanks for coming. So, Dr. Terri Strong, is there anything else that you want to kind of say about the book? Another little snippet. I know Brother Mashinda wanted you to read the poem.
Brother Rasaki, I got one more thing I just really want to get out of my chest, and I kind of want to share with Brother Muko. Because he him and I kind of see eye to eye.
Okay.
Us as Black people, we've gotten lazy. We've gotten real lazy. Our history, Black history, is handpicked by white people. We need to do our own research on our own history because there is Black history out there that is not being taught to Blacks. And I strongly, firmly believe that if we teach the Black history that is missing from the elementary school, the junior high school, the high school, even the HBCU, because our HBCU isn't Black enough. If we teach that element of history that is missing, we'll get somewhere.
Okay, Dr. Andre, give us one of those, something real specific that can be taught? Something real quick and small that could be taught.
The Green Book.
Okay, good. Yes. Okay. Excellent.
I
Excellent.
agree, Brother Andre. I agree 100% with you. That is just one of the many ways, codified ways, that we can get codified and just unified just in that one thing.
That one thing, brother. That one thing.
Okay.
Our Black history icons who we see today, they're handpicked by white people. There is a plethora of Black history icons that we don't know anything about. Who knows Dr. Arthur George Gaston? Who knows that brother? Raise your hand if you know A.G. Gaston.
Some people know. I guess somebody know.
I have to say I don't.
Okay, you don't. Now, Brother Muko, I want to ask you one question. When you think of the civil rights movement, who is the first person that comes to mind? Who is the face of the civil rights movement?
Well, you saying to me?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Malcolm X.
The civil rights movement.
Civil rights movement. Malcolm
His
X.
opinion.
I'm saying, who is the face of it?
Dr. King.
No, I know, but you said when I think of it. I know that when I know the natural face that they put out is Martin Luther King. You feel what I'm saying? I'm in agreement with you. See, I am in agreement with you. I don't trust any white person telling a Black person's story. Okay? I don't believe any Black person should believe any white person that's telling a Black. You should be suspicious of any white person telling a Black person's story.
I love you.
So I agree with you, Brother Andre. I agree with you, brother. I agree. You know, we need to learn our own history from our own mouths, from people that look like us.
Yes.
Because he who controls the page controls the thinking of the age. If that white person wants you to think that whoever they want you to think, it could have been there. We got a lot of the name. We got a lot of puppets out there. Just like Kamala Harris.
The showcase.
There you go. The showcasing. The showcasing. So they're gonna put out whoever the white people put out and say, this is who you should know about. That's who you should run away from.
Okay. Hey, let me jump in.
I'm sorry,
okay.
Go ahead.
I agree. I agree with you. And guess what? We have somebody on here that should be profiled. And matter of fact, a few people on here, and one of those are Professor Amin Ra and his impact on the cities of Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Compton. So yes, we need to get these people out here, and this is what this platform is designed for. I definitely had to get my main mentor, Professor Amin Ra, out here and heard. And now we have another legend that's coming, and that's Dr. Terri Strong. We got Brother Machinda, we got Brother Brother Muko, Dr. Andre Strong, Ruffin Swain, Brother Cal Higgins. We got people here that's gonna be extensions of what we want for Black people, and right here, and this is a part of that seed that's gonna grow. So let me just say that. So I wanted to get back to you, Doctor. Matter of fact, Cameron had his hand raised up. Cameron, did you want to say something? Had a comment?
No, that was just pertaining to what Andre said.
Oh, okay. It was like an affirmation.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, Dr. Terri Strong, did you want to read that poem Brother Machinda was talking about? And then tell us a little bit about it.
It's called They Think the Night. They think the night is worthless, no good. They'd like to see the night vanish if they could. They think the night is all dark, no light. Death to the darkness they feel is right. They give the night so many blues. The night sets them to music, yeah, a song the night could use. They think the night will just go away, keep them divided among themselves, they say. So they fill the night with something evil and white, and they doing a good job of fading the night. That poem is talking about whites killing blacks. What are they killing us with? Any and everything. They want you to just go away. If you could just vanish off the face of the earth. That's what that's what this poem is about. The night represents us because we come in all shades. That you ever seen how the night comes in? It comes in with the sun gradually going down from the lightest point to another darker point, and then the darker point, and then the darkest point. Isn't that what we are? Isn't that how we are in our colors? We got a plethora of colors. And that's what that night is talking about. They give you the blues on every hand. And what do? We take them blues, we take lemons and make lemonade. We are the most resilient people on the face of this planet. We have met and exceeded that you've got to be twice as good. And you still fall for them telling you you are less than. The devil is a lie.
Yes.
If I'm twice as good, then I'm the superior one. Somebody got this thing twisted. I'm the superior one, not you. So that's what that poem is about. When I say they think the night, they think that they can just make us vanish. No, We're gonna rise even stronger. Truth crushed to earth will rise again. We are just like truth. We've been crushed to earth, but we're gonna rise again.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, it's positive thinking. Tearing the negative thinking down.
Yes.
Shifting the negative stereotypes around. And you know, I see a lot of that in your book. And then I know that, you know, my brother doctor, the antagonistic person at times, he'll say something, and then Professor Amon-Ra come in with something optimistic to say. So we definitely have to change our thinking. And this is what this platform is about.
As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yeah, we have to change that thinking to an optimal thinking.
Absolutely.
And so listen,
I have one more question for Dr. Strong. Just more on the personal kind of question from her background. Comes similar to mine. You know, I told this panel before, and there was a quote from a movie, Jack Nicholson. They have the privilege of not knowing what I know, because I have 28, 29 years in law enforcement. That statement, that quote, this panel has they have the privilege of not knowing what I know, what I've seen, things done in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Can you comment on that from your year's experience?
Oh, definitely. It is definitely a privilege for the outsiders not to know what we know and not to have seen what we have seen. Because there is nothing that we have not seen in our careers, your career as well as mine. You saw it on the street, I saw it in the jail. And the average person really does not understand. I believe, you know how they used to teach civics in school? They should really teach law enforcement in school so that you'll understand exactly the job that law enforcement has. I would say 75 to 80% of shootings, according to the use of force policy, is justified. Because you got a split second to make a decision. You have so many factors. And so when people go crazy about certain shootings, I don't go crazy about it. You don't go crazy about it. But the one brother that was running away from the police officer, he just shot him in the back for no good reason. That was a murder, you know?
Yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
So
I was gonna say, now, with your background, how did that influence, you know, your books? I know that had to play a big role in the book you wrote, the stuff that you seen, you dealt with, because I'm pretty sure being law enforcement back in the South, it got to be different from here on the West Coast. And you might have been in, that intrigued me, you were in internal affairs.
Yeah.
Here on the West Coast, when it's interdepartment internal affairs, they don't hardly let blacks be in internal affairs here. You know, you can get on, you know, the outside departments from the, you know, the state and be internal, but in inner departments, they don't put blacks there because they think we're going to look out for the blacks that get in trouble, you know.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it was actually segregated, okay? Because the jail did the jail and the law enforcement did law enforcement, and the two never came together. In the jail, it's almost 100% black. On patrol, it's almost 100% white. So it's segregated, okay? So we police our own, in other words. But yeah, my other book called Prison to Priesthood, it is talking about my career, because, and I could have put so much more in that book, but I didn't. For me, the job was ministry. God allowed me to minister in so many ways, as well as, I mean, I got to encourage people all day long. I got to do gang intervention, not because the department asked me to do it, but because I saw the need for it. You know, one particular story I can tell you, and it's actually a positive story. This gang member, he was in the hallway, and you know how they throw their gang signs in the other housing unit. And I told the brother, I said, come here. He said, oh, Sergeant Strong. I said, no, you don't even know what I want to ask you. I said, who is angry when you come to jail? And I said, who's angry if you come to jail? He said, there's nobody angry when I come to jail. No, he said, I'm angry. He said, I'm angry when I come to jail. I said, now let me ask you a more important question. Who's angry if you don't come to jail? And he looked at me, and his mouth actually dropped open. And he said, ain't nobody. I said, everybody is angry if you don't come to jail. I said, I'm mad because you put me out of a job. I said, it's a whole lot of people, it's thousands of people mad in this facility if you don't come to jail. He said, Sergeant Strong, I never thought about it like that. I said, you be the one, get your boys together, get your gang together, whoever it is. Teach them to sell legal products or get their products legalized. Because there's no such thing as selling something, and it's a crime in a capitalistic free enterprise society. I said, son, don't you know you can buy poison over the counter in the hardware store? How they gonna tell you your product should be illegal? And it's never killed anybody. It's just like, I had to put stains on their brains, you know? So that's just.
I've seen it, yeah, same here. Exact same situation, everything you just talked about, I dealt the same exact thing.
Absolutely.
Word for word.
Thank you for your work, your job, your career. The last thing I need to say is that we are putting together a movie for the book, and it's based on a narrative that I put together from Lynch all the way to True Freedom. The movie is called True Freedom, and I would love for you to read the narrative on it. But it's going to be a play and a screenplay. And we're hoping for a spectacular production and a blockbuster movie.
Yes, looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. So we're going to take a few more, I guess. How much time you have, Dr. Strong?
Till I get sleepy.
Okay, so we'll take one or two more. Do anybody have one or two more questions for Dr. Strong?
Yeah, I got one more question for Dr. Strong.
All right, Brother Muko.
Dr. Strong, in your opinion, who do you feel is more confused about racism, white supremacy, white people or non-white people?
Non-white people.
Okay.
Okay, may I ask why?
Yes, you may. The reason is because I want you to think about the shoe being on the other foot. If you were in the position of white supremacy, if you were in that position, if you were in that superior position, if you were in that privileged position, why would you want that to stop? And I say it because you've got some white people, yes, that helped free Black people. You did, but when they got to the North, it got so many of you till the whites in the North took on the opinions of the whites in the South. Believe it or not, after slavery had ended, well, they just you know, annoying. You know, they wanted to maintain that superior level. So I'm not mad at you for your superiority. Just don't limit me from creating a level for me. You see, people next door to each other in the affluent area, they don't argue about, you know, where your house is bigger than mine. They don't care. You know, so don't limit my access. I'm not going, if I become the majority tomorrow, I'm not going to try and suppress you because I know how I felt in it. And one of my favorite people actually is a white person. She just became one of my favorite people, Jane Elliott. She did a study in her classroom back in the 70s. And
yeah, I'm familiar with Jane Elliott.
You're familiar with her. She did the study.
She's admitted racist.
Yes, she is. The brown-eyed, blue-eyed study. She did that study just after the day after Martin Luther King got killed. She said because white people just have to get over, you know, the fact that, and she says this today, white people need to get over the fact that you're going to be the minority one day. You're on your way to being a minority, and you're fighting against, you're fighting that, you know.
You're right, she did. You're right.
Okay.
She's the one that actually encouraged me to make this book a movie. She said, because this book needs to be in every Black person's hand.
Okay, well, listen, I'll take one more. Anybody else?
Yeah, I
have one more. I mean, I was going to have questions. This is my question. You're talking earlier about growing food, teaching people how to grow food and all that. What your opinion on also having firearms and ammunition?
I have a firearm and ammunition.
Teaching everyone to, you know, don't trade in your firearms, no buybacks, or just purchasing firearms and ammunition. Your opinion on that?
You know, I forget the name of this town, but this town, the sheriff made it mandatory for every citizen in that town to be armed. and learn how to use a firearm, because it was a lot of crime in the town. When every person in that town became armed, the crime rate went down 90%.
Oh.
Just the mere fact of knowing that everybody is armed was a deterrent for crime. And so it was a psychological thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen,
hold on. Can I add something? I haven't been able to talk the whole show.
Well, I was going to get to you, Mr. Swain. I'm coming right to you.
I'm so sorry.
Mr. Swain was responsible for putting this together this evening. So so we're gonna end with you, Mr. Swain.
Thank you. I just want to say that I appreciate you, Reverend Dr. Terri Strong, and as working in education in Compton, and I see how it's just such a big problem of our people just trying to come up and trying to be successful in the system of white superiority. And I look at sometimes I say I can look at white superiority as something like this right here, a Rubik's Cube.
Explain.
Well, you gotta you gotta untangle it. It's a very big problem, and there's just so many different ways
I like that.
Put it together to solve it. And it's not easy. A lot of folks don't know how to solve Rubik's Cube, especially if they become even more complicated than this. This is the most simplest Rubik's Cube, but they can be even more complicated than that.
Wow.
And so this platform that you have, Rashaki, is one of the areas on how we address this huge problem that we're being attacked from so many different areas.
Mm-hmm.
And there was once upon a time that we were doing much better as a people. And I see, as an educator in the inner city, trying to help Black people be more successful in like STEM related activities, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I see how, the struggle to get them to be successful. But this is one of, I'm saying we're getting hit by so many different areas that we need more people like yourself, Dr. Terri Strong, to come and present us with these type of ideas that you have to help motivate us and help show us the direction that we could be successful in, because it's not a one solution solves all.
No.
And so we have to have this dialogue over and over and over again. And what we're doing now, just like we are on this platform with Rashaki and the book that you've written, I'm inspired. I want to read your book, and maybe I want to write a book like yours.
Absolutely.
And and look, we have a PhD in mathematics, a Black PhD in mathematics on the panel right here. That's rare. That's rare. I'm gonna just say that right now.
He's a dinosaur.
They call getting a PhD in mathematics is called suicide. That's the definition of PhD in mathematics, and let alone a Black man getting a PhD in mathematics.
That's the umbilical cord around his neck again.
Okay. So, and him being your son shows that, that's the proof is in the pudding right there. So I applaud you.
I appreciate.
I have a question for you, Ruffin.
Uh-huh.
When you were taught what a teacher was, what is the definition of a teacher in your mind?
A definition of a teacher is
on your job, how is a teacher defined?
By how many students you can get to understand the subject matter.
Okay.
So you know, your whole job as a teacher, I mean, it changes, and it could change in different platforms, whether you're teaching, you know, if you're just teaching all Black kids, or you're teaching a diverse group of kids, you know. So it just depends on what the goal in mind is. But just being a teacher, you want them to understand the material and be able to grasp it and master those concepts.
Okay, let me tell you how a teacher was defined when I was in elementary school, coming up through school. A teacher was defined like this. The teacher was to take the place of the parent in the absence of the parent. In other words, you're not just to teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic, but you're supposed to parent them as well. That's what we were taught in elementary school. My elementary school teachers taught that. They didn't just teach the curriculum, but they taught us etiquette. They taught us discipline. They taught us right from wrong. They taught us the whole package, you know. So that's one of the problems. The teacher's role has changed so much. And it's so much on the teacher now, till you might as well have boarding schools. You might as well just let the child go because they're feeding them 3 meals a day and then sending food on the weekend. Do they do that in California? They do that here in Shelby County for some children. It's amazing to me.
That makes me want to ask the question.
Let me chime in on that. What I can say is we do have a lot of responsibilities, and how I was groomed. I was groomed by Professor Amin Ra, and when you're teaching, you also teach life. You don't only teach your subject matter, but you teach them things that you know that will help them be successful in life. And you teach them, you give them what you have. And if it's genuine, you know, the students appreciate it and they do learn. Mm-hmm. You know, so yes, we facilitate information, but we also teach them special truths.
Absolutely.
And it's you have to be trained. You know, I was trained and I'm continuing to be trained by this panel. And you know, the motto of this platform is each one teach one. We're learning from each other.
Right.
When moving forward, we're going to have young guests on here. We want to know what they're thinking. Yes. And then we also want to encourage them to be brave and be able to speak in front of a panel.
Absolutely.
And grow and become genuine and help a cause that need to be addressed. Us, you know, we need this, and we're gonna keep doing it, and we're gonna grow. I have 2 potential podcast hosts on here right now, and hopefully they join the team and they start doing their thing. This is for us as a community to help us change and become what we should be, and that's human beings, because we definitely not being taught that in a system of white supremacy racism. We're taught to be people that are dog eat dog, cutthroat, you know, selfish, monetary, you know, and nothing genuinely human. So you know, this is the longest show we've had, and I'm so elated by, you know, us being here and discussing things that we're discussing, and we're gonna grow. You know, we're becoming, as Brother Muko would say, we're a care unit. And Brother Muko,
Absolutely.
explain that right quick. Care unit.
We are a group of individuals that collectively care about one another. It doesn't matter that we are not in the same state or not in the same cities. We are all from different locations, but we are a unit of individuals that care about each other.
That's powerful.
And that's what a care unit is. And I also wanted to add, I just wanted to pose a question to everybody on here about the, you know, on the same subject that she asked, what is a teacher? I'm a pilot. If you don't know anything about a plane and I teach you something about a plane, but I'm not an actual instructor or a teacher, doesn't that make me a teacher also?
Yes, it does.
Each one teach one.
Well, I believe that all of us are teachers. Yes.
All of
Yes.
us.
Okay, so listen, I want to end this evening, and I appreciate the main guest, and I appreciate everybody that came out. And this is just a beginning. This is a beginning.
Brother Asaki,
yes, sir.
I want to say one more thing. I want to share something with the panel.
Okay, go ahead.
I promise to be brief. I promise. Cousin Swain.
Yeah.
I'm here with a PhD in applied mathematics, a black man. I got my PhD from an HBCU, Delaware State University. But what you guys may not know is I came into that university with a master's in mathematics. And there were like 10 Chinese students there. And some haven't finished their master's. And there were some that haven't even finished their bachelor's. And the director of the PhD program, he's Asian. One day I went to the provost, which is a black guy. And I told the provost, I said, I am a young black man at a black school working on a PhD in applied mathematics. And I said, the Chinese community have more resources than I do. They have funding there that I don't have access to. I asked the director, could I be a part of his grant? He said no. He's at a black school and he's bringing in millions of dollars, but they aren't for black students. They're for his students. These 10 Chinese students, they finished their PhD before I did. I'm here. I already have a bachelor's. I already have a master's. I'm just waiting to graduate. And there were some that haven't even finished their undergrad, their bachelor's. But I tell you what they did finish. They finished their PhD before I did. To God be the glory, I did finish. But that's only the tip of the iceberg of what I experienced at our black schools.
Yeah,
that's a real conversation. Another hour and a half long conversation right there.
So listen, we're gonna meet again. We're here every week, and everybody's welcome to come back. Next week's guest is Professor Amin Ra, and the topic will be Black male and female relationships.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so please, come back if you guys can, everybody, if you can. And Professor Amin Ra is going to give us a presentation. We're going to talk and see, about, if I'm going to ask questions or not, but he might be able to do a presentation and then we'll be able to ask him some questions. So I appreciate everybody, and we're going to end it. And please come back. I appreciate everyone that's on here and anybody else that may listen. Okay.
Thank you so much for the dialogue, and thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you, Cousin Ruffin, for putting this networking this together. I appreciate you truly, truly, truly. I do.
Appreciate you too. Thank you for being here.
Thank you all.
My babies, my sons.
So we're gonna go out with each one teach one. Have a good evening, everybody.
You all too.